Well, hello and welcome to your Newsmax Daily for Wednesday, June 19th, 2024, the 171st day of the year, and Juneteenth, National Independence Day. That's the full name of the holiday, celebrating the Emancipation Proclamation, but more specifically, it traces back to June 19th, 1865. When a group of enslaved African Americans in Galveston, Texas, were freed more than 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation was signed by President Abe Lincoln. The topic of discussion on last night's edition of Greg Kelly Reports.
It's a national holiday. Why? Well, it was a stunt to undermine Trump. Yes, it was. We're going to do a little bit of history. Nobody would be recognizing Juneteenth. Nobody in the federal government would have tomorrow off if it wasn't for a political operation against Trump. Now, for the mechanics of Juneteenth, whatever it is, and for whoever cares, these institutions are closed, right? Most schools, post offices, banks, libraries, the stock exchange, state courts, the DMV, that kind of stuff, right? But everybody else is open. I know it has something to do with the slaves. All right. But I thought Abe Lincoln freed the slaves, didn't he? Right. And we have President's Day for that. All right. So it's not about him. Now, of course, we could Google it. And I've Googled it in the past, but it doesn't stick. It's not part of our shared heritage. It's not. We have these big, momentous holidays where everybody takes a day off for things that bring us together. But this, again, myself included, people don't know what it is, and if they do, it's kind of vague at best.
What is Juneteenth?
What is Juneteenth? You know what Juneteenth is.
I don't know. You got
no idea?
No idea.
Is that is a celebration of I don't want this to be wrong, so I don't want it to be on the news.
It's the celebration of. Now, don't ask me what state, where they took the state and they actually messed up the homes of all the blacks that lived there. They ruined it. And then now it's celebrated as Juneteenth.
I think basically it's a time for like little kids come together or something like that.
It's a long story. I know really what happened, but it was a Wall Street for the blacks. I think so.
For some reason, it's recognized as a holiday that there was a gap between when the people knew they were freed in, I believe, Texas, and they didn't learn until June 19th. So there was a period of time they're actually freed and didn't know it.
I think you might be right, but I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure I'm right.
All right.
But to me, it's a bizarre holiday because it's basically celebrating not knowing you're free.
He is actually right. And by the way, he is the only white person in that whole video who sort of knew what it meant. As I mentioned, the Juneteenth celebration stems from the celebration of the slaves in Galveston that were freed 2 years after Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation. More from Greg Kelly.
Why is tomorrow officially a national holiday? Because it was an operation to get Trump. Who remembers COVID? Of course, we all do. 2020, the whole country was shut down. Now, part of that stunt, and COVID, parts of it were a stunt to undermine Trump, to stop everything so he would not be reelected. He was anxious. It killed him that he was in the White House, that he had to stay in the White House. So he said finally, you know what? We're having a rally. We're doing it. We're going outside, and we're going to have a rally in a great big arena. And then they found out, he wants to have it on June 19th. What's the problem? Well, they looked it up, and somebody said, it's Juneteenth, don't you know? Now, nobody knew, and nobody really cared, but it was a way to get Trump.
Trump is so oblivious, he didn't even realize how messed up it would be to have a rally on Juneteenth.
Listen, Brother Trump, man, I'm born in Tulsa, so I don't want to get started with Tulsa now.
Donald Trump originally planned his first rally on Juneteenth, just right by the site of one of the worst racist slaughters in American history.
All right. who could do such a thing? Schedule something for June 19th. Juneteenth, don't you know? All right, in a moment, I'll show you Obama cracking jokes and not saying anything about Juneteenth every year of his presidency. This was a political weapon, and it was just used to trip up Trump. Now, it didn't, but they had some fun with it. The Wall Street Journal, one of their fake news reporters, sits down with Trump, and, well, he says a few things. Donald Trump says, and he's right here, very few people have heard of it. Actually, a young African-American Secret Service agent knew what it was. I had political people who had no idea. Now, the reporter who sat down with Trump was a guy named Michael Bender, with a big head of red hair. And then he writes a book based off of that interview. He used that interview in his book. And he was either drunk or flat out lying when he reported that interview as this.
During the interview, he was surprised to find out that his own administration had put out statements in each of his first 3 years in office commemorating Juneteenth. That night, Trump turned to a Secret Service agent who was black and asked him about Juneteenth. Yes, the agent told Trump, I know what it is, and it's very offensive to me that you're having this rally on Juneteenth. That didn't happen. Not in a million years did a black Secret Service agent look at Trump and say, it's very disrespectful to me that you're having this on June 19th. Number one, it's not disrespectful. Number two, it's a made-up story. We have the transcript of the original interview. Number three, I'm going to show you some examples of Obama partying globally on Juneteenth. Let's do the first one. He didn't say a damn thing about it publicly, cracking jokes his first Juneteenth. Maybe as the first black president, he would say something substantive about this very important day. He didn't.
Greg Kelly is the host of Greg Kelly Reports. That's 9 o'clock Eastern on Newsmax. President Biden signed a law back in 2021, officially making Juneteenth a federal holiday. And on this Juneteenth, the country is also mourning the passing of Major League Baseball legend Willie Mays, who passed away yesterday at 93. Not only one of the greatest African-American players who represented and meant so much to the black community, especially back when he played, but widely considered the greatest center fielder of all time. A 24-time All-Star who was awarded 12 Gold Gloves among his many other achievements and accolades. Willie Mays, dead at 93. Also in sports, the Florida Panthers were not able to close out the Stanley Cup last night at home. Wow. Now things really get interesting. Game 6 will take place Friday night in Edmonton. Topping the world headlines today, Russian President Vladimir Putin is in North Korea for the first time in more than 20 years, meeting with Kim Jong-un. North Korean media says the two leaders signed a partnership. The two communist leaders signed a partnership to expand military and economic cooperation in a front against the United States. This is Vladimir Putin through a translator.
We highly appreciate your consistent and unwavering support for Russian policy, including the Ukrainian direction.
Both countries are heavily sanctioned by NATO and the United States. Putin also said that he appreciates North Korea's firm support on his war against Ukraine. Is that something we should be paying very close attention to? The whole world should be paying very close attention to, obviously. Are we? Who knows how much? Meanwhile, back in Washington.
Today I'm announcing new measures to clarify and speed up work visas to help people, including dreamers, who have graduated from U.S. colleges and universities, landed jobs in high-demand, high-skilled professions that we need to have grow to see our economy grow.
Another rough outing by the president during a ceremony marking the DACA program yesterday, announcing a plan to allow certain spouses of U.S. citizens without legal status to apply for permanent residency and eventually citizenship. The policy would allow roughly 500,000 spouses of U.S. citizens an opportunity to apply for a parole-in-place program, where if their application is approved, they would get a temporary work permit, have 3 years to apply for a green card, and be shielded from deportation. It's similar to the DACA program, but the DACA program is for people that came into the country as children. This is for anyone that is the spouse of a U.S. citizen. We get more from Rob Schmitt.
Biden continued on to vilify Trump's immigration plan, of course, completely ignoring recent polling that shows a third of his own voters, a third of Democrats now support mass deportation for illegals inside of this country. Take a listen to this.
Now he's proposing to rip spouses and children from their families and homes and communities and place them in detention camps. He's actually saying these things. It's hard to believe it's being said, but he's actually saying these things out loud, and it's outrageous. Folks, I'm not interested in playing politics with the border or immigration. I'm interested in fixing it.
I say it all the time. You deserve so much better. We let the bottom of this country run the country. It's so sad. These people, this clown show that we have to watch every day. I have to sit here and act like they have any kind of credibility at all.
Rob Schmitt, host of Rob Schmitt Tonight, 7 o'clock Eastern. What's more frustrating than President Biden even saying that is that there are a lot of people who believe it. While President Biden was doing that, his challenger, former President Donald Trump, held a rare weekday rally in Wisconsin. Now that he's not tied up in court, he's doing what he said he would be doing, campaigning in the home state of next month's RNC Convention.
But I'm the one that picked Milwaukee, and the Democrats, or the radical left lunatics, as I call them, what they say is just so terrible. They lie. They have a horrible candidate. They have a candidate that has no clue, doesn't know where he is, and all they can do is lie. I love it. I'm the one that picked Milwaukee officially. So, and I think you had about 10 congressmen in a meeting that we had recently where I said how much I like Milwaukee. They all came out. They said, that's what he said. We can't help it. And they're truthful people. But I just want to begin by saying, hello, Wisconsin. Hello. Great state. We've had great success here. It's great to be back in this beautiful state with thousands and thousands of proud, hardworking American patriots. What a crowd. What a crowd. With your help, 5 months from now, we're going to win Wisconsin. We're going to defeat your radical left Democrat senator, one of the worst in the Senate. Nobody even knows she's a senator. I mean, frankly, she's not doing a good job representing. We have somebody that's going to be great. But we're going to defeat your Senator Tammy Baldwin. We're going to elect Eric Hovde of this area, by the way, who's a great gentleman, and spent a lot of time with him. He and his wife are incredible people. He's going to be a great representative. They're going to be great representatives of your state. But we're going to elect him to the U.S. Senate. We're going to evict weak, failed, and incompetent Joe Biden. He's an incompetent person from the White House. And quite simply, we are going to make America great again.
Donald Trump's Wisconsin rally was carried live on Newsmax, but in case you missed it,
under crooked Joe Biden, the world is in flames. Our border is overrun. Inflation is raging. Europe is in total chaos. The Middle East is exploding. Iran is emboldened. China is on the march. And the worst, most incompetent, most corrupt president in history is going to drag us into World War III. Other than that, he's doing quite a good job, don't you think? Quite good. Joe Biden is humiliating our country on the world stage. He's actually humiliating us. You saw what happened this weekend. It's turning the United States into a total joke all over the world. First, he wandered off the G7 in Europe, the stage. He looked like he didn't know where the hell he was, but he didn't know where he was. He's blaming it now on AI. He's saying he doesn't know what AI is, but that's okay. Now they're saying the media is manipulating. Oh, he's saying the media is manipulating. Now, on that one, I have to stick up for the media. I have to tell you. He said the media is manipulating the pictures of him constantly not knowing where the hell he is. They're doing just the opposite. They're making him look better. At the G7 in Europe, and he had to be rescued by other world leaders. They had to pull him back. Then he bizarrely put his face on the Pope's forehead. What was that all about? That was weird. Vivek is here. That was weird, Vivek. I don't know. Did you see the Pope? The Pope is like, what's happening? The Pope didn't really know what was happening.
That's right. Former presidential candidate and major Trump supporter Vivek Ramaswamy, who was once considered a possible running mate for Trump, opened up the event. And remember what I said on Monday about Trump throwing curveballs. We're just not going to know until we know. Newsmax reporter Logan Raddick was also at the event.
Donald Trump is taking a lot of criticism over the fact that there have been reported comments about him saying that Milwaukee, which will host the Republican convention, is a, quote, horrible city. Now, former President Donald Trump said that he was talking in terms of crime and also just the way that the policies are going in Milwaukee. We had a chance to catch up with some people here at the rally and ask them about Trump's comments. This is what they told us.
He's looking at what's going on in the city. That's what he was looking at. And Milwaukee has a high crime rate.
He called it a horrible city because of the condition that it's in right now. I go, they always take his stuff out of context. It's been happening all year. It's going to happen all the way up to the election.
We moved from 7 years ago because of the crime in Milwaukee and the pollution and so the crowding. So, and we still, living in Caledonia, we feel like our safety is being threatened with this influx of illegal aliens.
It's all over the nightly news. There's shootings here, there's shootings there. It's almost like Democrats want to keep it that way. I don't know. It's weird.
And former President Donald Trump says before the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee. Now, again, Racine County, the reason that Trump is here, this is a swing county and a swing state. Trump narrowly won this county in both 2016 and 2020. Former President Barack Obama narrowly won this county in the two prior elections. So both candidates, Biden and Trump, had in this county in the last month, and both see it as a pivotal county if they want to win in 2024.
And Trump National Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt spoke about it with Rob Finnerty on Wake Up America this morning. Now, leading up to this cut, Rob was criticizing President Biden for making an immigration announcement following the murder arrest of an illegal migrant.
The timing of that, right on the heels of Rachael Morin's murder in Maryland.
Well, President Trump addressed this yesterday in his rally, as you pointed out, Rob, where more than 15,000 Wisconsinites showed up at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a Tuesday. And it's because they are fed up with Joe Biden's terrible policies, especially at the southern border. And Joe Biden has doubled down on his open border pro-illegal immigrant crisis this week with the signing of this executive order that is going to give green cards and citizenship and amnesty to not just hundreds of thousands, as the Biden administration said. No, it's actually millions of illegal, undocumented people who have broken our nation's laws and are in this country. This is Joe Biden's plan all along. The open border is purposeful because Joe Biden and the open border Democrat Party need votes. And that's what this is about. It's a scheme to import an entirely new voting base for the Democrats and for Joe Biden. Joe Biden doesn't care about what this will do to American taxpayers. Joe Biden doesn't care about the grave impact this is going to have on government-funded programs such as Social Security and Medicare that hardworking Americans have been paying into their whole lives. And Joe Biden doesn't care about the inevitable newer surge in migrant crime that this mass amnesty executive order is going to bring. We've already seen innocent Americans like Rachael Morin, like Maddie Hines, the 3-year-old in South Carolina, like Laken Riley in Georgia, lose their lives at the hands of illegal people. Yet Joe Biden continues to double down and put illegal immigrants over American citizens. It is disgusting. And that's why you see massive crowds for President Trump everywhere he goes, from Wisconsin to Pennsylvania, because people are sick and tired of being put last by Joe Biden's corrupt regime.
Yeah, in the crowd yesterday, again, a remarkable crowd for Donald Trump in Wisconsin, reminiscent of what we saw in 2016 when Trump beat Hillary Clinton by 22,000 votes in Wisconsin. Then you go to 2020 and Joe Biden beats Donald Trump there by right around 20,000 votes. But it could be different this year. It could be more like 2016, Karoline, because right now Jill Stein is going to be on the ballot in Wisconsin, and RFK Jr. could very well be on the ballot there, too. And as I said, Biden, as you know, needs to win Wisconsin if he wants to win re-election.
That's Rob Finnerty with Trump 2024 National Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt. Rob started with the murder of Rachael Morin, murdered by an illegal migrant from El Salvador. You've probably heard some about this over the last several days since his arrest. Newsmax reporter Sarah Williamson went to Maryland to speak with the sheriff that led the investigation into the murder of Rachael Morin, a mother of 5.
Sean, Emma, it's not just the sheriff that's blaming the Biden administration. It's the whole of Bel Air, really. I've spoken to many people here and they're all devastated that Rachael Morin, a beloved member of this community, was killed at the hands of someone who should never have been here in the first place. I spoke to one lady who told me she wasn't just one person's daughter, she was the entire town's daughter, and the sheriff agreed.
And again, we've had 2 women here in Harford County. We are 1,800 miles from the border. We've had 2 women in 2 years who have been brutally assaulted and murdered here by people who should not be in the country at all. She was the mom of 5 young children who now have to go through life knowing the horrific end that their mom suffered, and unnecessarily so, because had we done a better job protecting the border, perhaps she would be alive today. Perhaps the 20-year-old girl who lost her life last year in our county at the hands of someone who should not have been here, who illegally entered the country, would not have been lost.
Now, Martinez is currently being held without bail in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We are waiting his extradition back here to Bel Air, Maryland, where he will face justice for the death of Rachael Morin. He's being charged with 1 count of first-degree murder and another of first-degree rape.
That is Newsmax correspondent Sarah Williamson in Bel Air, Maryland. So to recap, this is a known gang member wanted by Interpol who murdered another woman in El Salvador, fled to the United States, assaulted a woman and her 9-year-old daughter during a home invasion in L.A., I think she said, then killed Rachael in Maryland. He walked in and out of our country freely. But if you bring more than 1 bottle of rum back from Jamaica, they're going to get you. I mean, these are the people that are coming into the country. Obviously, not all of them. And you remember a week or 2 or so ago when Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg was attempting to defend the administration when it was revealed the hundreds of millions of dollars, maybe it's billions, approved for EV charging stations had thus far produced like 6 or 8 charging stations. And that's not me joking around or making a general statement. That was the fact. It was either 6 or 8 charging stations. Well, FCC Commissioner Brandon Carr says the Biden administration has yet to connect a single American with high-speed internet after getting $42 billion from Congress to deploy high-speed internet to millions of Americans. Carr posting on X that years later, it has not connected even one person with those funds and that no construction projects are even going to start until next year at the earliest. The Broadband Equity Access and Deployment Program is what it was, allocated $42.4 billion to support broadband infrastructure and adoption. They could have given probably less than half of that amount of money to Elon Musk, who's already created a broadband network worldwide and has connected people around the world in much less time with the Starlink satellites. Meanwhile, speaking of internet, the U.S. Surgeon General wants tobacco-style warning labels on social media to alert users that the platforms can be harmful to children's mental health. Surgeon General Vivek Murthy is urging Congress to enact legislation that would require social media platforms include a Surgeon General's warning to, quote, regularly remind parents and adolescents that the social media has not been proven safely. Keep up with all the news all day today and tonight on Newsmax. It is available on most major cable systems like AT&T, Armstrong Cable, Cox, Comcast, Mediacom, Optum, Suddenlink, Xfinity, and many, many others. And make sure you're streaming on the new Newsmax Plus. If not, simply go to newsmaxplus.com, get signed up. You can get a free trial as well. I'm Tony Marino. Thank you, as always, for listening to the Newsmax Daily. Enjoy the rest of your day and keep on fighting the good fight.
News breaks every minute, every day. You need the app, the Newsmax app. Find it free on your smartphone store. Then watch us anytime, anywhere.
It's our America. We conquered it. We built it. Great values like honesty and fairness. Great courage. A great nation needs a free press. Newsmax is it. 30 million Americans regularly go to Newsmax when they really need to know. They watch Newsmax TV at home. On the free Newsmax app, they go to Newsmax.com. Start today. Newsmax is real news for real people.